Hey guys, Ben here, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about The Flash, Season 5. Today we got another theory video for you guys today, and also mainly just going over the Nora and Reverse Flash interaction from the 100th episode. So I've been thinking about this a lot, and I made some videos on this over the past few weeks or so since the mid-season finale a couple weeks back. Now, in the past few days, I've been thinking about it. So, mainly to do with the conversations that they had together. So, if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, and subscribe if you're new, so you don't miss any DCTV videos later this year. In the 100th episode, Reverse Flash, Nora, and Barry all meet together, and this is the original version of Reverse Flash from the original timeline, so he has all that knowledge and that depth of information from the future that would have been, but it's obviously changed now because this is a new timeline. And so at the end of that, we get this very kind of suspicious looking Eobard Thawne as Nora looks at him through the screen, and he supposedly sort of waves at her very kind of cheekily, and he's smirking. And from this, when I've been thinking about it, at first I was like, oh, this is suspicious when I first watched it, but now when I'm looking at that and the fact that he says, oh, your daughter, she's Thawne. I think in that original timeline, maybe Eobard had interactions with the future version of Barry's daughter in the future, but that would probably be very minimal. I don't think it'll be anything like what we're seeing with Nora and Eobard Thawne in 2049 right now, because Barry's not there in the future for Nora. So in that original timeline, Barry would have been there for Thawne, that being Nora, but you know, different versions of themselves from different timelines. And so I do believe that this sort of ending scene hints at the fact that Eobard Thawne probably already has set plans for the future. In just this one meeting, he can easily see that she can be manipulated, that she can be something that he can actually grasp and try and twist in his own way. And so in that moment, or just after that, due to the fact that now he knows Barry has this new version of his daughter in the future, he knows the timeline is going to change once again. So has he set up something in order to live on? And we know that Eobard basically can't be erased properly. Yes, at the end of this season, this version of Eobard is completely erased, but we know he's got so many different versions of himself. So in this moment, does he run to the future just after this, or does he make a time remnant and he puts that person in the future in order to start manipulating things in that very same moment? And so now he knows about Nora, and he obviously knows that originally she was called Thawne, so that's changed already. But what else is there to change? And theorizing about this, yes, you can say that maybe this is a far stretch, but I do believe that this version of Thawne, whoever he is in 2049, knew about who she was when she was young. And I think Nora's been primed and ready to be manipulated in this way, in that Eobard told her to go back in time to all these different points to destroy the satellite with Barry, to change it so cicadas like this, and then they know the timeline's malleable, but what is their major plans apart from Nora actually trying to save Barry in this crisis, which would make no sense with Eobard trying to prevent that because they fight each other in that moment. Or perhaps this is a way for the original version of Eobard that most likely goes back in time, gets stuck in our timeline, to actually not be stuck. Maybe they go back to that moment and they're trying to manipulate it so that doesn't happen, and maybe Barry does survive and they do not go back in time to that night and they don't murder Nora. So are they totally changing what's going to be happening? I don't know, but that's a massive sort of out there kind of theory. And so now let's talk about the way that I believe and envision the season to end in terms of Nora. So we'll kind of just ignore Eobard for a minute. I believe at the end of the season they are going to be trying to achieve and change that goal. In regards to Nora, I do believe she's going to try and stop her father from being erased, and so I believe in that process she's going to be erased, and I do believe she's going to stay a hero. I don't think she's a villain. I think she's being manipulated by Thawne. I believe by the end of the season she's probably going to have to sacrifice herself, whether it's fighting Reverse Flash or something like that. I do believe that they will visit 2024 when Barry's supposed to go missing, and I believe she will sacrifice herself in order to save her father, or due to the timeline changes maybe something else happens, but I do believe in some way or the other Nora's going to sacrifice herself for the best of the timeline, and I believe that she will be erased by the end of the season because it makes no sense. If she does try and stop this point in history from going down, she wouldn't be the same, and so I believe she's going to change the timeline for the better, and I do believe that they will be changing the timeline by the end of the season in a big way, and that will probably lead into season 6, so maybe a new version of Flashpoint. I don't think it'll be exactly the same, obviously, but I believe that the timeline will change, she will be changed, she will be fine in her future. Maybe at the end of the season her name is actually Thawne, maybe not Nora, don't know about that, but I believe she would have grown up differently, and that this new version of herself will be good, and maybe won't be a speedster, or will be a speedster that will just stay in the future, and this version of Nora that we know will cease to exist, and it's what a hero would do. So that's sort of my theory heading into the back half of the season, heading into the ending of how season 5 would end. And so, do you think that's too far out there? I do believe that is the way they're going, because they emphasize that Nora really wants to change this point in history. I believe she's going to sacrifice herself by the end of the season. And so now we move back, and we're going to be talking about that Eobard, Thawne, Nora and Barry conversation we got in the 100th episode when they travel back in time to season 2, but to actually season 1. That's the time period that they're at. And so he mentions Jesse Chambers, Olivia Lawrence, and Danica Williams, and then he says Thawne Allen. So let's go through these speedsters and talk about will they appear in the future. So Jesse Chambers, we actually have Jesse Chambers on the TV show. That is Jesse Quick, and he doesn't know about her yet, because remember, this is back in season 1. No one has met Earth 2 Harrison Wells yet. No one knows Earth 2 exists. And so in the future, obviously Eobard knows about all these speedsters, they do exist, so will we see them sometime in the future? Yes, probably, and we already have Jesse Quick, that being Harrison Wells' daughter from Earth 2, and so she's a hero in the future, so that's what he's referencing specifically there. If you got confused by them saying Jesse Chambers, that is the comic book name of her, but in the TV show we call her Jesse Quick. So I believe that Chambers is her actual surname, and Jesse Quick is just her sort of Flash nickname. And so Olivia Lawrence is actually a character from the comics, and she is Liberty Bell, and so she is a World War II character, so obviously that will probably change. She'll be from the future, or maybe she will be on an Earth that is still in World War II. I think that would be very interesting. Don't think it will be Earth X. Yes, the Nazis are there, but that's present day. Imagine if there was World War II going on in another alternate Earth and Liberty Bell existed, and she comes over to our Earth potentially sometime in the future. So essentially her name is Libby Lawrence, or Olivia Lawrence, and so she was introduced in the 40s, and so she has various powers. She's had different iterations of herself in the comics. From the original version of herself, she had super strength, she had super speed, stamina, among many other sort of superpowers. So she ranks upon some of those superheroes that do have super speed, and so that's why Reverse Flash is mentioning her. Additionally, he mentions Danica Williams. Danica Williams is a new superhero, and so she first debuted in 2013, so you may have heard of her name more recently, but she's essentially a version of the Flash, and so she's not like super known to anyone apart from, you know, the recent comic book readers, or she was, I believe, in an animated series. Maybe it was Justice League, the animated series. I can't entirely remember. She is a speedster and she has all the powers of the Flash and everything like that. And also he mentions Thawne Allen, and he says, if I'm not mistaken, and then Nora corrects him and it's like Nora. So Thawne Allen is Barry's daughter in the comic books, and she's part of the Tornado Twins, so her brother Don. Maybe he will appear sometime in the future, we don't know. And so this version of Barry's daughter is Thawne Allen, and that's most likely from the original timeline. We've pretty much summed that up by now, and we pretty much all come to the conclusion that in the original timeline, Barry would have a daughter with Iris in the future, but they would call her Dawn, and in this new timeline, to respect and sort of pass the mantle on, they call their daughter Nora. So this is a change in the timeline. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy this, please be sure to leave a like and a comment. So what do you think about all these theories? A few different theories that we chucked out in this video. Also, I did a top 10 list. I put a lot of effort into this, top 10 films of 2018, and I wrote an article, so if you guys can read it, check it out, give me your opinions. What would you rank as your top 10 favourite films of 2018? Please be sure to go to the link in the description below and try and support that. And also check out my film channel and my movie podcast channel. We talked about Aquaman recently, Bumblebee, Mary Poppins, all of these films that have just come out. So anyway guys, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.